Hello YouTube! Today I want to talk a little bit about the lesser known races of Tamriel. But before I start, I want to thank Floor Panel for making the request for this video. This channel is driven by requests like that, so keep them coming. For sake of keeping this video short, I will only focus on the completely different races, so races that are not related to man or mer. That said, let's kick off. We've all heard of and played as the humans, elves, Khajiit and Argonians. But we mostly do not realize that there are other intelligent races in Tamriel. We will start with a race that Skyrim only players will not know, but Oblivion players will be hit right in the nostalgia bone. I'm talking of course about the goblins. Goblins are not that rare actually, you can see them all the time in Oblivion and sometimes in Morrowind, and it's said that they live all around Tamriel. The reason we do not see them in Skyrim is because they simply don't live there, the habitat is just not there. Just like you will not encounter any Draugr in Cyrodiil, and they just don't live there. Goblins themselves are short, tough creatures that mostly live underground in clans led by chiefs and shamans. Their culture is very primitive compared to the rest of Tamriel, and their leaders are still chosen by survival of the fittest. The bigger and the uglier the goblin is, the stronger he mostly is, and the closer he is to the position of leadership. They're somewhat intelligent, and they are a bit like the Falmer in Skyrim. They just kill and loot their bodies. Well, enough about the goblins. The next race I want to cover are the nymphs. The nymphs made their appearance in Daggerfall, and I guess it will also be the last time you will ever see them in the game, because the nymph race is an all-female race for some reason, and for some reason they don't wear shirts. They are completely topless. They are mysterious wise beings found in the region of Iliac Bay, the setting of the Daggerfall game. They have an extremely powerful ability called Energy Leech that drains your stamina whenever they touch you. They can be found in hidden caves all across the Iliac Bay region, where they live alone. They also use their own magical language that is very hard to learn for other races, even the High Elves, which are very smart. What you may think when you see them, that they are probably very seductive, is not true. They are in fact very shy creatures, and it can take months before a nymph can trust one enough to reveal herself. An example is given in Daggerfall, where a researcher is researching nymphs, and it takes him 3 months of giving her presents before she even chooses to reveal herself. And then she isn't even talking to him, she just shows herself. It takes another a month or two before she starts talking. It is said that the nymphs are very wise and wonderful creatures, and that they know more about the wildlife than even the greatest bossman. Well, from naked ladies we will now shift to something, well, similar. Not actually. The next race we will cover are the sloths. The sloths are, well, ugly. They are one of those races we know a lot about, but are really undervaluated in the games. The sloths are a slug-like race that live on the islands of the Thras region in the Abyssinian Sea. They are very skilled necromancers, and they choose to show that off whenever they get the chance. Since the earliest days they attack Tamriel, specifically the Somerset Isles. You might think, nice, the High Elves are getting attacked. Well, it's not that nice. These guys are way worse than the Altmer. At one time they made a disease called the Thracian Plague. A disease that wiped out half of Tamriel's population in the First Era. That it was just for fun. This made the Emperor so mad that he assembled a huge fleet he sent to the Thracian Islands with one order: destroy all sloths. Well, while they were sailing on the Abyssinian Sea, the fleet got attacked by huge storms conjured up by the sloths, but this did not stop the fleet. Once the fleet landed on the islands, they started massacring every sloth they could find. At some point the sloths then made their island sink just to save their race from this annihilation. Well, and if you think about it, they made their islands sink. Think how powerful they are. The only instance where we find an island disappearing by magic is from the Psijic Order, the most competent mages in all of Tamriel. The sloths apparently are almost as strong as they are. Think about that for a while. But Sometime prior to Tiber Septim conquering Tamriel, the islands returned. And well, as you might have expected, after all this, the Sloths are very powerful in the arts of magic and they have very strong minds. They are really strong thinkers and usually think of all outcomes before they undertake anything. They are also, as you might have expected, very self-centered and egoistic and have a lack for morality. There's one place you can encounter a Sloth. You can encounter one Sloth in the Elder Scrolls Adventures Redguard. It's a very small Sloth and I believe she was a wizard. It was a woman. I never played that game, but that's something I heard of a friend that played it. Anyway, let's continue to the next race, the Rieklings. Rieklings are small hostile creatures living on the island of Solstheim. They look and behave a bit like goblins as they live in small tribes in abandoned places. Their culture shares great similarity with that of the goblins, however it is more structured as each Riekling has its own task in the tribe, like hunting, scouting, etc. They also have their own religion. Not much is known about it, but it's more primitive than other modern religions like the Nine Divines. As said, they can be found on Solstheim. This means you can encounter them in both the Skyrim DLC of Dragonborn and the Morrowind DLC of Blood Moon. But now let's move on. One of the races you cannot encounter in any of the games are the Lilmolith. I don't know if I pronounce it correctly, but that's the way you have to write it. Yes. There's really not that much known about them. They used to live side by side with the Argonians in Black Marsh, and it's suspected that they went extinct by the Knarthian flu that wiped out everyone in Black Marsh except for the Argonians in the Hist. They looked a bit like the Khajiit and were probably related to them because they are a humanoid fox race. They are like the Khajiits, but then instead of cats or tigers, they are, well, foxes. They lived, like Khajiits used to live, in small tribal groups that were possibly nomadic. The only account we have of their interaction with other races is with the Akaviri, because the Akaviri were rumored to use old Lilmolith ruins in their encounters on Tamriel. But now let's go to my final and favorite subject, the Imga. The Imga are the big apes of Tamriel. They look a bit like gorillas that live in the province of Valenwood. They are somewhat intelligent, and when I say somewhat, I really mean somewhat. They know that other races are superior to them when it comes to intelligence, and they especially adore the Altmer because the Altmer are just, well, the smartest race in all of Tamriel. They adore them so much that they try to intimidate them by using a smart dialect. Well, one that sounds smart to them, and use very complicated words that they themselves don't even understand, but they would do this all to impress the Altmer. But it doesn't stop there. They are known to wear capes like some of the Altmer lords do, and the craziest thing is, some of them even completely shave themselves and power themselves white. This process is usually very painful for them because they accidentally hurt themselves by cutting in their own skin. And this leaves also very much scars, which, well, it makes for a pretty pathetic appearance. Because of their adoration of the Altmer, they also try to impress them by pretending they hate humans. They even pretend to see humans as their inferiors and express that by saying humans smell bad and by using a heavily perfumed corner of their cape at their nose whenever they encounter a human. They too are never encountered in any of the games. Well, this video took an awful lot of time to make, and I'm sorry if the quality of the video is any less than my other videos, but I'm really busy in real life right now, so I still try to make videos about questions asked in the comments, but well, I have to squeeze it all in a very, well, little agenda. So I'll have more time in the coming months, so keep the requests coming, and well, like, subscribe, and I'll see you later.